Shalom. This week we're going to celebrate Pesach, where we already are. Does a convert to Judaism participate in the Passover Seder? After all, they're not commemorating an event their ancestors participated in. Do converts recite in their Shemona Esrei, our God and the God of our fathers? After all, their ancestors worshipped a different God. What about the myriad of other phrases that reference Jewish ancestors, like commanded us to sanctify ourselves, or who separated us from the other nations, who chose us, who gave our fathers the land, etc.? This was a question posed to Maimonides from a famous scholar, Ravavadra the convert, himself obviously a convert. Maimonides answered yes to each question. In his explanation to Ravavadra the convert, Maimonides taught a fundamental principle of Jewish philosophy. Our forefather Avram taught the world about ethical monotheism, the Rambam said. Avram taught the world to reject idolatry and paganism. He brought tens of thousands of people under the Kanfei Shechina, God's wings. Therefore, he said, any convert for all time is considered one of Avram's children, and can call himself a child of Avram just as any other Jew. A convert is a member of the Jewish community, no different than any other member. In Pirkei Avos, Hillel taught an idea: don't separate yourself from the community. Al tifrosh min hatzibur. In his commentary to Hillel's teaching, Ravavadra bar Tanura mentioned one example of separating from the community. He said participating in their tragedy and sadness. He quoted a teaching from the Gemara from the Talmud. It said, whoever separates themselves from the pain of the Jewish community won't merit to see the community's comfort. Joining with the Jewish community at large is a fundamental part of Judaism and the topic of our Dvar Torah today. Maimonides wrote, a person who separates himself from the community may be placed in this category of a heretic, even though he hasn't transgressed any sins. A person who separates himself from the Jewish community and doesn't fulfill mitzvot together with them, does not partake in their hardships, or join in their communal fast, but rather goes on his own individual path as if he's from another nation and not Israel, does not have a portion in the world to come. In the Haggadah, we read of the importance of joining with the Jewish community, even centuries after an event. The Torah speaks of 4 sons, one wise, one wicked, one simple, and one who doesn't know how to ask. The wicked son says, what does he say? He says, what is this service to you? By saying to you, the Haggadah says, he implies, but not to himself. Since he's excluded himself from the people at large, he denies the foundation of our faith. Therefore, you should hit his teeth and answer him, it's because of what God did for me when I left Egypt. By saying for me, you imply, but not for him, because had this wicked son been there, he would not have been redeemed. Joining with the community in its commemoration of an event that occurred centuries ago might seem odd. After all, it isn't as if the event is affecting the Jewish community today, but that's actually an erroneous perspective. Our rabbis taught us about the destruction of the temples, an event that occurred 2 millennia ago. Listen to what they said. Each generation that doesn't see the rebuilding of the temples is just as guilty of the sin that caused its destruction as the generation that watched the temple destroyed. Rambam explained, there are days when the entire Jewish community fasts to serve as a reminder of our wicked conduct and that of our ancestors, our wicked conduct, which resembles our present conduct and therefore brought these calamities upon them and upon us. By reminding ourselves of these matters, we will repent and improve our conduct. Maimonides also wrote that in each and every generation, a person has to present themselves as if he himself has now left the slavery of Egypt. We just read that in the Haggadah. Joining in with the eternal and present Jewish community is a fundamental part of Judaism and the Pesach Seder. Each Jew is stubborn and born with an independent streak that tempts us to forge our own path. When used properly, that tendency can be positive, but one must always remember to join with the community as a whole. It's such an important lesson, I hope one that we take away from this Pesach. Chag Sameach.